All right. So far we have seen some of the very basic data types that are available in Python, as well as some additional data types like this NumPy array or data frame. Okay, these are very commonly used in Python as well. Now, one other thing that was the indexing concept was also discussed. Okay, one other thing that remains, that is the function. Okay, in MATLAB we have seen that there are two types of way of writing a function. One is the user-defined function, that we can write a function by ourselves, and there are many built-in function available in MATLAB as well. Now, since MATLAB is a very high-level programming language, so MATLAB actually offers a wide range of built-in functions, and they actually make our work very easy. But Python is not that high-level programming language, so and the number of built-in functions that are available in Python is actually very small. Okay, now uh, we'll look into the user defined, how to write user defined function later on. Okay, in some later lectures. Now this built-in function and how to work with those things, let's take a look. So the function, like built-in function, we actually call those things method. Okay, in Python they are actually called method. Okay, let's take a look here. Say this was my original list. Okay, a list. So if I say, for example, you have seen that was a function like max of an array. Okay, this was a function we used in MATLAB. So this is also available in Python. Okay, say for example 6. So this is the maximum element in the array, in the list. Now but one thing that you need to understand is that MATLAB actually operates based on matrix manipulation, but Python does not operate in the same way. Okay, so to understand a programming language properly, you need to understand how that programming language actually works. Okay, so let me give you something. Let me go here. So uh, Python is actually an object oriented programming language. Okay, so what is mean by object oriented programming? Okay, object oriented programming language. Now, or OOP, এটাকে short form লেখা হয় OOP. Now to understand the concept of this object oriented programming, let me give you an example. Okay, just to give a small basic understanding. Say for example, I have an object. Say I have, say example, I just bought an apple. Okay, say an apple. So this apple is an object that I have with me right now. Okay, I have bought something from them. Now the apple, the object, has some properties. Okay, say for example, one is the color. Okay, so the color of the object is green. So it has another property, say for example weight. Okay, so say for example it weighs 200 gram. Okay, so the object apple has two property. One is its color, and the second one is its weight. Okay, so these are the property of the object that we have. This is the okay, this is the property. Okay. Now say for example, so I bought the apple. So I have this object apple, and I want to say do something with it. Say for example, I want to slice it. Okay, I want to slice it into 4 pieces. Okay, I want to slice the apple into 4 different pieces. That means I want to do something with that apple. Okay, or say label it. Okay, put a label on the apple. It or normally comes when you buy an apple. So the label something. Okay, this is another thing, that is something we want to do with that object. Okay, so this is something that is called a method. Okay, this is what we call a method. Okay, so so try to understand it very clearly. Try to understand. Okay, so we have an object like an apple. It has certain properties. Okay, we have two properties here, and there is something that we can do with that object. So this is the slicing and label. Okay, similar to that. Okay, we have this Python programming language is actually an object oriented programming language. Say for example, when I was creating an array like this. Okay, say is equals to 3,6. Okay, so I have created a list. Okay, so in Python it means that I have created an object, a list object. Okay, so this is actually Okay, this is actually a list object. Okay, so this is actually a list object. So this property, so when I have created an object in Python, so that list object has certain properties. Okay, the property is also known as also called attributes. Okay, it is normally called attributes. Attributes. Okay, so when I have created this list object has some certain properties or attributes. Say for example, the length. Okay, the length of the list, that is one attribute. Okay, what is the maximum element, what is the minimum element, or say what is the average of the something like, let's write it. So this is the what is the average of the elements. So this is what is called the attributes of the list that we have. Okay, so these are the properties of my list. Okay, now similar to that, we can also do something with the list. Okay, say for example, I want to append something, I want to append one element to it. Okay, so I have 3,6, so I want to make it something like this. I have 3,6, I want to make it, I want to append something. Okay, say for example 3,6,7, I want to add one element to it. So I am doing something with my object, the list object that we have, append something. Or say another one like pop. Okay, pop means actually popping out the last element. Say for example 6 was the last element, so pop means I will take out the last element from it. So these are the attributes of that list object, and these are the methods. Okay, now yeah, it is very important. Achha, let's come here. So this was my original array. Okay, so when I write something like this len alien, short for length. Okay, so that means what I'm doing here is that I am trying to extract the, I want to try to see the attribute of my object, the list object that we have. Okay, the object that we have is named as a, and I want to see the length property of that object. Okay, so when I'm writing the when I'm trying to see the properties of something, we write this way. Okay, we write something like, so when I'm trying to see the property, I write, say for example, length, then this is the name of the object. Okay, this is the way. Try to understand. When I'm trying to see the property, I do this way. This is different than MATLAB. In MATLAB, we used to write a function like this way, but in Python, okay, in Python we write in this format, like length of a, or say for example max of this, name of the list. Okay, name of the list, so max of this, something like this. So this is the way of uh, viewing the properties of that object. Okay, this is not, this max is a property, this length is a property of my object. Okay, now say what if I want to do something like this method, if I want to do something with my list, what I'm going to do. Okay, so this method is something that is called a dot append. Okay, so when I'm trying to use some method on it, on the list object, so I will write this dot, then the method. Okay, what I want to append, say for example I want to append 10. Okay, so if I run it, okay, now let's take a look. Now I have 3, 5, 6 and 10, so 10 is appended in my original list. Now okay, let's try to concentrate here, try to understand what is happening. So when I have this object, this apple object, okay, this has certain properties. Now when I perform this operation, this is called the slicing operation. Okay, if I slice the apple, okay, so this apple that we had, the object that we had, sliced into 4 different parts. That means when I'm performing this method, this slicing, okay, I no longer have my original list, the original object. I no longer have my original object. After slicing, that means after performing this method, my object has changed. It has changed into 4 new slice of apples. Okay, that means now I have 4 new objects. Each one has this property. Each one has this color, same color, but the weight will be different. Okay, so the property has changed. Okay, so That means, try to understand, that means that when I actually perform a method on an object, that object actually changes. Okay, so when, if you look at here, my original list was like this 356. Okay, when I write the length, so when I try to see the property, that's completely fine. But when I'm trying to perform a method on the object, okay, the original object has changed. Okay, 356, it has become 35610. Okay, this is very different than MATLAB. If you remember, in MATLAB, if I want to do something, I used to write something like this: a is equals to something. This is the assignment operation. Okay, only when we use this assignment operation, then okay, the value will change. It will take the value whatever is done doing here. But the assignment operation is not available in Python. Okay, this is very important. The assignment operation is not in Python. Okay, so when you are actually, okay, not available, I means either the by not available, I means it is available but not in the same way. Okay, so here I did not write that a is equals to a dot happen something like this. I just call this method on this object and the object has already changed. Okay, so this is what actually happens. So when I am writing this method, this is the way of writing, seeing the property when I write a method. So this is the name of the object. So this is the name of the object, then I write this dot and what I want to do here. Okay, so this dot option, this is the way of calling a method on an object. Okay, so this will actually become much more clear when you try to work with it. But this try to remember this thing, because you will see when you are working with list that you have not used the assignment option, but your original, you have just called a method on it and your original object has changed and you don't know why you are actually making the mistake. Okay, so I hope that it is clear. And let's